A peaceful afternoon to everyone, especially to our vibrant and affable professor, Dr. Corazon Floresca. Good afternoon, Doc. This is Nanel M. Cornelio, and I am the second reporter of the Group G. My report is all about implementing change. In this topic, we are going to discuss what it means to implement change within an organization, the benefits of change implementation, the 8 steps to implement organizational change, and tips for effecting change implementation. What does it mean to implement change? Implementing change effectively requires change management, which is a process that helps employees prepare for an organizational transition using various resources and strategies. It's recommended that you develop a plan that will gain employee buy-in and provide them with the necessary tools to achieve the intended change. When implementing change within an organization, it means you are shifting the way that you do business in some way, whether that involves a new business strategy, employee practices, or the implementation of new software or equipment. What are the benefits of the change implementation? The benefits of change implementation are the following. First, improving collaboration or cooperation within the business. Second, improving employee productivity. Third, improving the efficiency of work processes. Fourth, adapting or responding to changes more efficiently. Fifth, providing a path to achieve a specific business objective. 8 steps to implement organizational change. First is identify the change and perform an impact assessment. To begin, you should first identify the necessary change and make sure that it aligns with your company's overall objectives. Once you identify your goal, perform an impact assessment to evaluate how the change will affect all levels of your organization. This assessment will provide guidelines on how to implement the change because it shows who faces the most impact and will need the most support or training. Second, develop a plan. Use the insights you gain in the preparation phase to determine how to implement the changes needed. Create a plan that sets the direction for your organization, including how to achieve the necessary changes and ways to measure whether the changes were successful. Depending on the scope of the change you implement, you may need to include a plan on how you will support employees through this transition. Your impact assessment identify the most impacted employees, so your implementation plan also needs to include any type of support or training that these employees may need. Third, communicate the change to employees. To effectively convey the change to employees, you'll need to develop a communication strategy. In this plan, outline your main messages, identify your audience, and determine who or what medium will deliver this information. In the third steps, meaning, in depending on the change, you may also need to consider how management will respond to resistance or feedback from employees. Due to your impact assessment, you will likely already know which level of the organization will be affected most by the change. It is recommended that you communicate with these employees first and most often. Fourth, provide reasons for the change. To gain the support of employees when implementing change, you must demonstrate the necessity of the change. Often, the best way to achieve this is to present data that supports your decision. Such data may involve customer or employee surveys, strategic business goals, or budget plans. As the superior, remember to underscore the benefits the change implementation will bring. Employees who understand why the change is happening may be more likely to feel motivated to actively participate in that change. Fifth, seek employee feedback. After communicating the change to employees, offer them the opportunity to provide feedback. You can either schedule times to conduct in-person feedback sessions or send out surveys. Change can make some people nervous, so allowing the employees to voice their opinions makes them feel like part of the decision or conversation. Being the boss of the company, you may even gain insights into how to improve your implementation plans. Encouraging employees to voice their concern also allow the opportunity to clear up any misunderstandings and answer any lingering questions. 6. Launch the change. Effective change happens in stages, which ensures the employees are not overwhelmed. Create a timeline that starts with the aspects that you must complete first, such as employee training, equipment acquisition, or software installation. It is helpful to set a deadline for when you want to evaluate the implementation process and determine whether it achieved your intended goals. Depending on how much time you must implement change, you may want to consider a pilot program. 7. Monitor the change. As you implement change throughout an organization, continue to monitor the process to ensure all your employees follow proper implementation procedures. Depending on your role, you may directly observe employees or delegate the task to other supervisors. As the supervisor, you must try to monitor progress on at least a weekly basis toward the beginning of implementation. You may even want to review progress daily. Keeping a close watch on your progress will help you fix any mistakes you hadn't anticipated and gauge any other unexpected outcomes from the change. 8. Evaluate the change. Work with your employees or team to determine how you will measure the success of the implementation. In some situations, you may have quantifiable results that can be easily measured. If you don't have quantifiable data to work with, you may want to brainstorm other ways of measuring success. During the planning phase, you set a deadline to evaluate the implementation. When you reach this deadline, meet with your team to assess the result based on your established guidelines for measuring success. Determine whether the changes met your business goals or made progress toward them. You can also discuss whether the change implementation process worked as intended and determine whether you need to make any improvements. Share the results of your discussion with employees. Seeing that they made progress or achieved goals can help motivate them at work. Tips for effective change implementation. First is create a culture of change. It means that to successfully implement change throughout an organization, you must create an environment that promotes change. You can start this plan during your hiring process, includes questions that assess a candidate's interest in change implementation and whether they have relevant experience. Second, communicate changes to management first. Meaning, you should discuss your intended changes with management employees first, which they can translate to their employees. These managers need to understand your vision and benefits of the plan, which they can communicate to their teams. Make sure to provide a concise, clear, and consistent message for them to share to ensure everyone is on track. Third, recognize the impact of changes. Change can be difficult for employees, so it's important to acknowledge their feelings and concern when communicating these changes. Try to frame the change in ways that demonstrate why it improves the current system and how it will directly benefit the employees themselves. As the supervisor, we should listen closely to feedback and look for the ways to make the transition easier for employees. Fourth, maintain open communication. It is important to communicate change implementation and encourage feedback at the onset of change. Sustained transparency throughout the entire process will garner trust from your employees. Continue to offer employees the chance to provide feedback, either through organized surveys or a policy that allows them to contact their managers as needed. Open communication also helps you to solve unexpected challenges as they arise. And the last one, celebrate success. Create a more positive change implementation process by celebrating key milestones and overall successes. Employees who see their progress being celebrated might feel more motivated to keep achieving goals. And that ends my report. Thank you for listening. Stay safe and God bless.